Hey, everybody. This is Wendy, DestinationU Wendy. So excited to have you here on a Tuesday. And I'm on water because I am leading StreamYard and I don't have any clue on the social media stuff. And so I need all my faculties tonight while we're bringing in the experts for our book, Life Unexpected to Life Inspired. So I am really excited to have this group of very strong, very resilient women here with me today. And if you haven't had a chance to pick up your copy yet, we're going to give everybody a couple minutes to give you just a little teaser about kind of what their life detour was and what got them to be in this collective together. And then we're going to hit them with a really tough question about how they came through it and an adjective that they didn't expect to describe it. So I'm going to briefly say hello to all of our guests and let them introduce themselves one by one after we do the quick hellos. So Gabby, let me have you say hi.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Gabby, and I'll have you talk up a little bit more, a little louder.
Oh, a little louder. Okay, let me.
There you go.
It. Okay, very good. You can hear me well?
I can hear you well, and she's got that sweet little Southern drawl y'all are going to hear in just a minute.
Oh, my goodness. Yes, yes. I'm not even trying to get rid of it.
I know.
Yes, I'm Gabbe Smith.
Thanks, Gabby. Let me introduce Rosie. Rosie Marin is also from the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Hello, everybody. Great to be here.
Great. And then we're moving northwest now to just following my path because I went from Dallas up here to Guadalupe up here in Denver with Second Act Women.
Hey, Wendy. Thanks for having me.
Good to have you here too, especially anyone who's involved in Second Act Women knows there's a big conference coming up this Friday, Biz Life Con, so she's going to get to that in a second. So we're lucky to even have her out from under the tidal wave of work that she's in the middle of. And speaking of tidal wave, I give Heather Aardema lots of kudos because she's leading a Get Rid of Sugar challenge this week, which I can't even imagine. So she's also with me here in Denver.
Hey, it's so great to be here. Such an honor. Thank you, Wendy.
Good to see you too, Heather. And we have Theresa, who's also a very low energy gal. I think if you've listened to the podcast, you already heard she's a very quiet, calm gal. So I'm going to ask her to speak up a little bit more and make sure she says hello from her Denver abode as well. Oh no, I can't hear you, Theresa. Oh, see, look at that. I called you quiet and I just jinxed you, didn't I?
What happened?
There you are.
Half of my work is helping people find their voice. So turning the mute button off. It's nice to be here. Psyched to be with all these ladies. Powerhouses in the house.
Powerhouses. Absolutely. And then, even though she is Brooklyn all day, hopefully I said that well, Cindy, she lives on the West Coast. So we went actually east to west. That was not intentional, but it just worked out that way. So we have Cindy Robles from Guest in Your Life, and she's here from the San Fran Bay Area.
Hey, Wendy. Hey, guys. How are you guys? Nice to be here. Thank you.
As you'll see as we get into this, it's been really neat to have this diverse group of women. And I mean diverse experiences, cultures, backgrounds, the way we grew up, and the detours that we took. Everyone's path has been different, but it's been really fun to see after, of course, through all the pain and trauma on the other side of this, the common threads and themes and how everybody not only looks back at that time. At the time it was challenging, but now it's more of a blessing, or it's been woven into such the fabric of who they are today that it's critical and they learn so much more from it. So what I'm going to do is going to hop in here and just ask Lupe, because I want to give you a little leniency. Your head might get a little tired a little later since you've been busting your booty all week. So would you just share for like 2 to 3 minutes, give an overview of the life detour, and you can bring in Barb's experience if you want, or just focus on your own, and then a little bit about kind of what you gleaned as you came through it on the other side.
Yeah, no. Well, first, thanks again for having us, and really super jazzed to be part of this amazing group of women. So my detour is really very well connected to my work wife, who couldn't join us tonight because we are dividing and conquering, as Wendy said, for our BizLine conference on Friday. But it started back in when we went to go try to launch what is now officially BizLife Con, and we're we're launching our 4th conference actually on Friday. But it all started with an idea that my work wife, Barbara Brooks, had about 5 or 6 years ago now. And it was this idea to help elevate women over 40 and 50 plus and create a community where they could come together, not only just to connect, but to also level up in both business, in life, and everywhere in between. Well, what happened is that because we are both, women over 40 and 50, we got it. Like instantly, when we tried to go back into corporate America and apply for jobs, we found that we were hitting roadblocks. And we started to realize that our age was getting in the way. And so for us, when we said, oh, let's create this community, let's bring these women, let's help kind of combat ageism, re-script our narrative, own who we are and own our age, it made all perfect sense, right? But the idea was that because we've been for so long, had been overlooked, had been made to feel invisible, had been made to feel past our prime, women over 40 and 50, our target audience, didn't connect with our mission. They couldn't understand why we were wanting to bring this conference exclusively produced by women over 40 and 50 for women over 40 and 50. And so we found ourselves trying to host our first conference with pretty much 20 attendees. And we had put our time and our effort into creating this, and it was falling out on deaf ears. It was like our women just didn't understand. And so we had to pivot. We had to postpone originally what we had scheduled, for a particular month. We had to push it out 2 months. And we didn't even know if at that point in time it was going to even work. So what ended up happening was we prayed, we lit our candles, and we really just put our heart and soul into creating one of the best and the nation's first conference for women over 40 and 50 plus. And we just hoped that on the launch day in April of 2019, that people would get it. And it was a blessing to see that after hard work, marketing, really women helping us spread the news to other women, we started to get the attendance that we needed to really see that there was something here and that we were actually filling a need that had been for too long gone underserved.
Awesome. And we're going to come back and ask you a question or two about that in a minute, but I want to make sure if somebody can't stay for the whole hour with us, that they get a little bit of everybody's story so they are intrigued and cannot wait to go read a little bit more. So I'm going to hop down. Actually, Cindy, I'm going to go West Coast on you and see if you can share a little bit more about your story. And I think of yours as the precious little surprise gift that really changed your career path earlier than expected. But asked you at a younger age to make some tough choices.
No, I guess younger, you could think about it in the sense of younger career, but not younger to conceive and have the experience of having a beautiful child. And for me, it almost sounds cliche, but and my daughter, God bless her, she's heard this story before, and she knows how precious she is to me. But I really didn't plan to get pregnant. Like, I really accepted the idea that I had endometriosis and I wasn't able to move to a next level in the sense of having a baby. And I actually accepted it. And everything that I was doing in my life was really career driven and fun. And when I heard that I was blessed and I was able to have a child, I was able to conceive, it just really threw me off. It really, really threw me off. And people would tell me it would throw you off. And I was one of those women, those business women, like, nope, it's not going to affect my life at all. I'm going to be right back. I'll bring the breast milk with me. I'll pump in the bathroom. But from the minute that I was blessed with her, it was an exciting journey. And it was it was a journey towards self-love. Like, the detours that I experienced was a way where I can finally stop being a workaholic and really look at myself and what I wanted to do. And I jumped off the ladder. I was climbing this really great ladder and I was really doing well. I mean, I'm a Puerto Rican from Brooklyn. I felt so good accomplishing my goals in hospitality, food and beverage, and also the beauty industry. It was just I was just really involved in operations. And I decided to make a choice. And a lot of women have this choice and I commend them. Some women don't. And I understand that as well. But I had a choice where I could be an at-home mom, and I had a choice where I can reinvent myself. And I thought it sounded so easy And you hear women talk about this as well, but it wasn't. It actually peeled all my layers. And I realized there was a lot of self-work that needed to be done as a mother and even as a career woman. And it gave me the opportunity to really sit down and think about what kind of mother I want to be. And I started to just really tackle other things that I loved. I started doing dance fitness, and I started connecting with people, and I started getting into the whole thing of people always leave. You know, I was having wonderful relationships, hospitality, fitness industry, and I had incredible conversations with these people, and they will always leave. So that's why I created Guests in Your Life. And through partnering with these women, I mean, I met Lupe on a project that we were working on, and that segment, and I was able to be a participant in Second Act Women and go to Colorado and be part of her amazing biz conferences and Biz Life, or her conferences, or Second Act Women. And it's really given me a platform to continue with my podcast, to stay strong and brand yourself. Because that's the journey as well. What we're all doing is we're trying to add to the culture. And I think that's the main thing. And of course, we want to be successful in doing that. So yeah, I'm happy that I can talk about those kind of changes and making those moves and being resilient. Because that's something that word just sticks in my head, just being resilient and going for it, and don't feel too comfortable in a career because it's safe. Take a chance and, you know, follow your passion. And that's that.
Absolutely. Love it. Well, and actually that's, you know, again, I had the fantastic opportunity to read everybody's stories as they were coming in. And for those who probably have never been a part of a collaborative book writing project before, there are different ways you could do it. And the way we structured it was asking a couple of key questions for everybody to answer. And as the stories came in, again, the stories were very different, but yet some of the themes about resilience and really pausing and reevaluating who you were at the time and how it's shaped who you are now, really, it was fun to see this come through in everybody's story. So absolutely, resilience, fantastic word. And I saw you tagged me the other day on that. I loved it.
Yeah. No,
all right, so I'm gonna go ahead, Cindy, real quick.
No, I just want to I want to thank all the ladies for their contribution, and a lot of my friends are buying them. And I think it's a beautiful thing that we are supporting each other on our missions and growing each other individually. Wendy, it's beautiful what you're doing for us and everything that you women are doing for us as we are entering this threshold of 45 and up. You know, I just turned 48 in September, so I'm very excited about it. And I just want to say I'm really happy to be a part of this group. So thanks.
Oh, thank you. Well, and so you're also seeing the heads nod. And by the way, Cindy, when you were talking before about trying to juggle it all as a mom, yes, everybody's head was nodding as well because they could all identify with that. So I'm going to switch gears over to Heather. Because Heather also confounded me in the way that I had just been, right before I met Heather, I had been told that I had a gluten sensitivity, and oh, woe's me, I've got to cut back some gluten. And once I heard all the things that Heather had to cut out of her diet, I didn't say jack squat again, because Heather had a much more interesting navigation time with food, and also having to actually sleuth. I mean, that's the other part that I know is really challenging too, is that she kept running into roadblocks and not getting the answers she wanted. So I'm going to turn it over now to Heather to talk a little bit more about your journey.
Okay, well, I want to tell you, there are lots of food groups that I intentionally omit from my diet.
That's
However,
right, no FOMO.
I have no FOMO.
You're going to JOMO.
No fear of missing out. Yes, exactly. So I flipped that FOMO of, oh no, I can't have the donuts and the bagels. And I flipped it to JOMO, the joy of missing out. And that way, it's oh gosh, shucks, I can't have the bagels or the donuts now, but I also won't swell up. I also won't have acne. I also will be able to sleep tonight. So many good things. And so, yeah, thank you for sharing that. So my story, you know, I was born, I From a very young age, I was hungry for everything. I wanted to be involved in everything. If something was going on, I wanted to do it. If somebody was eating something, I wanted to eat it. I really believed that more was more. And I looked down on people that were going a different route, kind of the less is more idea. I thought, how can that be? That can't be true. And I dove into my corporate career. I spent 20 years in corporate America. And I will tell you, there were moments that were amazing. I traveled the world. I presented to high-level executives. But deep, deep, deep down in my core, I felt empty. And I tried to hide that emptiness and I tried to fill it because remember, I thought more was more. So I thought more chai teas from the coffee shop, more afternoon chocolates, more buying things will make me feel better and hopefully erase some of this emptiness that I feel. And I'm so grateful that I found the courage to leave corporate America. And corporate America is great for so many people, but for me, it was not a good fit. I left corporate America. I found minimalism, which is, at first I thought it was all about restriction and deprivation and FOMO. And I thought, oh no, this is going to be horrible. And then I realized that it is this beautiful, intentional pathway toward better. I mean, really, at the end of the day, that's what it is, a pathway toward better, towards the idea of quality over quantity, less but better. And so I found minimalism. I felt like I found myself. All of my FOMO disappeared. My weight leveled off. My health got so much better. And now I help women. Today, I help women lose weight, live light, and really, really get on the path that they want to be on. So it's been a wonderful journey full of all the emotions, but I'm thrilled to share there's no more FOMO in my life.
I love it. And that's, like I said, anybody who can take all these, in your head of dietary restrictions and turn it into a positive is huge. It's huge. But I can't even begin to imagine how it feels like, if you have these insensitivities or these food sensitivities. So,
Wendy, briefly, if I may. So all that time I spent in corporate, I always wondered, what else can I do that would be more meaningful, that would feel like more purposeful? And I looked around and the work I was doing was meaningful, but it was just not fulfilling to me. And of course, the clients, it was meaningful to them. It was meaningful to my colleagues. And everybody said, oh, but you should be so happy. You have the best cube. They would say, you have the best cube in the row. I had all the sunlight. You have a great title. You make a lot of money. But all of that it was really like the golden handcuffs. And the answer was staring me in the face. I just didn't realize it all those years. I had those health issues. I have 3 autoimmune conditions. My weight was going up and down, up and down. I didn't understand why. And when I released the clutter from my life, the clutter from my diet, the clutter from my kitchen, the clutter from my mind, all those thoughts that were telling me I should do this, I should do that, I should do this, I should do that, life got so much lighter and I found my path.
Yep. Awesome. Absolutely awesome. Okay, so that's actually a good segue also now to Miss Gabby, as she's well known by everybody, because similar to what you were talking about, Heather, about like decluttering and finding your path, I love that Gabby feels like she was a passenger in her own car for a long time, but now she's driving the car. So, so Gabby, why don't you talk a little bit about what you hear today?
Most definitely. So the thing for me, I love the questions, and even I am the drill down queen. So if you need to strike oil, I'm your girl. I can drill down to things. And so for me, I love that the book gave me an opportunity to drill down for myself, because like all of you, there have been so many things. That's the thing when you get to your 40s and 50s, you have a lot of experiences. It's just kind of by design. You've lived so long. And so for me, it gave me an opportunity to drill down to actually what brought me to where I am. And I realized that the thing about life that caused me to reimagine life was my life. And so one of the big things for me is that it took many years for me to realize that the life that I was living was actually someone else's script. And Wendy and I talked about this, how,
Yeah.
the word belief, the word belief, it just sounds so powerful and it sounds so spiritual. It sounds like all these different things. But a belief is just a thought that you think over and over. That's all a belief is. And so I even realized that a lot of the beliefs that I stood on in my life were not my own. And so I experienced enough of a crisis to break all of that down. Okay, so much like Heather just said, it's one of those things where you get to bottom out. And I loved it. And for me, I realized that bottom had a basement. And I was so happy that I hit it. And so for me, the fall that I took was simply my life not working the way I had imagined it would, the way that I thought it would go, and the beliefs that I had employed and oftentimes deployed in my own life, nothing added up. And so you hear about a crisis of faith. I had a crisis of faith, crisis of health, crisis of everything. And I am so grateful for it because it allowed all the pieces to fall apart. And when I got up, I only picked up the pieces that I felt were necessary to my life. And it left lots of room for new pieces to be added. So that was the thing for me. And I'm just so grateful for that. And for me, it wasn't just one area, it was every area. So it was work, it was everything. And so I'm just so grateful. And so the thing that I got was this life that I had not imagined, and it's far better than the one that I thought I was designing. So that was my story. That was my story.
Well, and as you can tell, I'm really good at maneuvering whose picture is up on the screen. So heads up, everybody, that if I might still put you on the screen when I didn't intend to. But thank you, Gabby. My background and my story of how my detour got to you all is a little bit more like yours in that it was a couple of things that happened at once: career and personal changes, friends, going through difficult health diagnoses. So lots of things for me that kept making me go, is this really the path I want to be on? And am I in control of my destiny? And that's where I'm going to go to Rosie next, because Rosie was like, I am not in control of this destiny anymore, and decided career-wise that it was working for someone else was not working anymore.
That's right, Wendy. And, you said it very well. One of the things that's amazing to me as I'm hearing all these other, stories come about is just how I can relate to each and every one. There's something in our lives, right, that just kind of tends to be overwoven. And for me, it was just, something that happens to a lot of people, especially recently. But I kept getting laid off, and as a single parent, I had 2 kiddos, so it wasn't like I could just say, well, that's all right, I'll just, go live in my car. I had a huge load on my shoulder. I had to take care of 2 kiddos, and the last thing I wanted to do was have them worry. I guess what I felt was something of a heartbreak was that I would fall in love with every job I had had. I was very lucky in that every job I have had, I've loved. I've loved the projects. I've loved what it stood for. I've loved the outcomes. I've loved the people I worked with, the places. And so when that would come to an end and it wasn't because of a decision I had made, it was somebody else's decision, I was heartbroken, and I took it all personally. I couldn't imagine why, after I had poured my soul and my time and sacrifice to do the best that I could, that a business decision had been made without me about whether or not I was going to be able to have a paycheck, the following Friday to pay the electric bill. And so when that started happening, I started noticing, wait a minute, I can't continue on this path. I can't continue to let somebody else be in charge of my destiny. That's exactly right. And so I decided, okay, let's take a step back and see
what is it that I do have control over, right? You kind of tend to understand, okay, I start to understand businesses and how things happen and why they happen. But what do I have control over? And that led me to really take a deep dive, like Gabby said, start drilling down and see what my strengths were, what my weaknesses were, what I liked doing, and what was it that I could put together from what I liked to earn money. And so that led me to start a couple of businesses and to invest in properties and to really find that the only way that I could really maintain a steady revenue and a steady income was to diversify my income. So that just like a, four-legged stool, if one goes off, those other three better be standing, right? And so I wanted to make sure that no matter what I did, there was always something in the works, because I never wanted to be at a position where I did not have control over something. And so that led me onto also thinking that I could not continue to victimize myself by saying, oh, why did this happen to me? Oh, I was laid off. Woe me, right? And I thought, okay, enough. Stop being a victim. What can you do about it? And then just go forward and do it, And as I said, bad things happen to good people all the time, especially, these times in COVID. And I totally understand and empathize, but it's what you do afterwards and the strength that comes from within to kind of survive and then go forward that I think is really what brings us, in strength together. And that's what we're doing. We're getting it done.
Getting it done. Absolutely. Yes, because if anybody of this group would have just stopped at the, woe was me stage, none of us would be here today, or we've been a very different and probably uglier place. So, yep, the old time to put our big girl pants on is what I also talk about. So, yeah. And I'm also, again, I feel like I have this connection with each of you in a different way. And with Rosie, one of the blessings in my life was I was able to invest in some properties a few years ago. And that actually helped me go, okay, I don't need to hold on to my corporate identity forever. And that's not going to be just who I am, right? And thankfully, it's allowed me to, again, I never knew at that stage I'd be podcasting or doing StreamYard or writing a book with any of you. And so it's allowed me some freedoms and opportunities to take risks and get to play and do things that are more of a passion project. So. Okay, so Theresa, coming to you next. Okay, so 2014 was a very interesting year for you. Whoop, whoop. She never had to talk about it ever before, but we're going to make her talk about it tonight and how 20 seconds changed everything. So Theresa, the floor is yours.
Why, thank you. I will clean it after I'm done. Situation was that, and I love what every woman has been saying. I was in a car accident in 2014 and ended up with the equivalent of 6 concussions. And you don't want 1 concussion, let alone 6. That's just way too many. But that was me. I was, overdoer. I've been a professional martial artist all of my career. Spent over 20 years building a large business, martial arts and fitness studio. And then in bam, 1 minute, it was all taken away. So doctors told me I would never teach martial arts again. And they also, and much like Heather has gone through, there wasn't a lot of answers. I had to detective my way through brain injury with a basically broken brain. And so really part of my mission is now helping people find where they are focusing their energy, where it's not working, and refocusing on themselves. So as a martial artist and self-defense instructor, I really want people to learn how to own their power, right? So here I am with a brain injury, whiplash, my back is messed up, my legs are messed up. And I don't mean like broken, I just mean after being crashed into a brick wall, your body is not the same. And I'm like, I got 2 choices. And I think it was Gabby who was saying it as well. I could be the victim. Like, no, I have a brain injury. It sucks. It's so hard. It's hard. It hurts. I have a headache every day. Or I can take my power back and not let the brain injury win. And I chose door number 2. And I had to figure my stuff out. I mean, when you get to the point where the doctors are hugging you, telling you not to lose faith, that's when it's scary, because there weren't a lot of ways of dealing with it and healing from it. And I had to find my own course of action. I had to go from being, there's a thing called concussion protocol, where you're stuck in a quiet, dark room with no interaction. And I was in that for 2 years. So I will say that the gift is what we've been facing now. Dude, I did that. I've done this. Like, I've been quarantined, self-isolated, and I didn't like it then. But man, I can rock it now. I got Netflix. I can do things. There's Zoom and StreamYard and podcasts. But I guess it's all about, for me, where is our focus and where is our power? And with each of these women in all of the stories, that's sort of what I saw as the theme. I'm a power chick. I love power. I love internal power. I love inner power. Yeah. But I saw every woman taking her power back from wherever they put it, whether it was Rosie putting it out in the baskets of other businesses, or Heather, like diagnoses. And you know what I'm saying? Like, watching women take their power back freaking feeds my soul.
Well, and it's not only taking the power back, but it's also having the courage to even face it to begin with, right? I mean, now, okay, Theresa, you didn't have a choice. You kind of had to face, you were thrown into the car accident, right? But, you know, when with each of these stories, you know, Heather could have just stopped sleuthing and, okay, the doctors must be right, and I should just take all these pills, and that's I give up, and that's just the way it's going to be, right? But facing it is, I mean, as hard as it is that first step of even having the courage to figure out what to do about it. So did anybody else have feel like you got stuck in that stage longer, or did you feel like, you know, like Theresa, you didn't have a choice, you just had to face it right away? So please unmute. And
it sounds good now. It wasn't like I faced it with all this glory in class. I had faith beyond measure, but it took steps to get there. So I don't want to be like, yeah, and instantly I was self-actualized. That did not happen. I was a hot mess.
Yeah, well, so everybody else though had a hot mess moment, correct? Yes?
You know, I wanted to, Wendy, I wanted to say that it's really great that Theresa mentioned the downtime. We all did. Mm-hmm. We all mentioned that there's a time where for you not to be hard on yourself, because she said 2 years, it could be 3. You know, we don't want it to drag along, but that's when you're already aware. You're already self-aware that there's something brewing in you and you want to make a change. So your own internal clock will.
Oh no! Yes, we just
your own internal clock will tell you speed it up, rev it up, and your tribe will help tell you to speed it up, rev it up. You know, and that's why women that you see on this.
Oh yes, now we can hear you. Yes, you had a moment. We had a moment, but we got you.
I'm sorry, but you know, there's everybody that's here that's talking about the pause.
Yeah,
that's pausing again. It's pausing again, and it takes time. And don't be hard on yourself. Don't be hard during the journey, and know that there are people around you to help lift you up, which is the people that you see right on this panel. Each and every one of them, I've heard their story. And it makes me think and remember how it wasn't easy, and that you have to identify each little thing to move forward. So, Theresa, thanks for mentioning that. It does take time.
Yeah. And so did anybody else, you know, Gabby, Rosie, Lupe, or Heather, anybody else not have it fixed on your timetable?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I mean, for us, it came down to the fact that we were hosting an event, and it was our first one. And after hours of planning, you know, to all of a sudden think like, we can't host this event, and you know, we need to pivot, or like we say, swivel now. And then to all of a sudden be in a situation where you had to literally just, on a leap of faith, dive in and try to do something different on a whim was scary. I mean, you talk about like, you know, crashing against like a slew of emotions, and not knowing what waits for you on the other end is a scary, it's a scary experience, but one that, you know, just like all these other women, we grew from, and now we're 2 years into our company and kicking butt and taking names. So it's worth it. It's just in the moment. It doesn't It's
It
overwhelming.
can be so overwhelming. And there's this quote by Joseph Campbell: "The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek."
Ooh, I like
And
that one.
that quote is so powerful. Isn't it powerful? And I remember there's a documentary called Finding Joe, and it's all about Joseph Campbell's life. And I was still working corporate, and I remember staying up late one night, watching it, taking notes furiously, like, follow your bliss. Oh, I have to follow my bliss. Yes. And it was just so heart-filling, and it gave me some courage to say, you know what? My status quo is not good enough for me. I deserve the best. I am so valuable, and I can do something so much more if I just follow my bliss, if I listen to my truth, if I take that pause, get really quiet. So I love that quote. Yeah, the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek.
Yeah, and I think one of the other things too, and Gabby, in your story, I kind of started relating a lot to it, but you know, there's what you think you want, and then what you truly want, and then what other people want you to want. And there's a lot of judgment that goes along with that too, you know. I remember hearing from, you know, a lot of people that are very, very dear to me still, you know, well, you should do this, well, you should do that. And in my mind, I'm going, I hear you, but I don't want to. And so a lot of that is just kind of separating that judgment of, well, you're a single mom, you've got kids. What do you think you're doing? You know, why are you taking these risks? You know, is that irresponsible of you? And so then you kind of start second guessing yourself, and the pause and the pivoting, you know, I like that, because you kind of have to say, I think I know better. And I'm going to go with it. I'm going to hear myself. I'm going to hear my heart. I'm going to hear my brain and see what it's telling me, and trust myself more than anything.
Yeah, I think that's a big issue as well. And did you all find, you know, one of the other things I think that's challenging is when your faith is tested, and when you're either on the low end, or, you know, it's one of those days where you're just having a hard time picking yourself back up. You've got a significant other circle, you've got a support group, but sometimes even that, you know, either like Rosie, they make you question your own gut. And so any surprises, I guess, for you all in what you were, either somebody who came through a little bit more than you expected, or maybe somebody that you thought you'd rely on and they gave you advice that you kind of went, that's not what I would think. So anybody have an experience with that, like that, with their support group or their circle of support? Theresa.
I was referred to every single MLM you can think of. Network marketing. Have you tried this? You should be gluten-free. I am gluten-free. You should get off sugar. I am off sugar. You know, you should really do keto. Okay, I'm doing that. I had, like, when women get pregnant, like, everybody wants to tell you what to do. Brain injury, same thing. You know what you gotta do.
Yep. Anybody else get all the advice in the world, whether it was good or bad?
Well, my friends thought I was crazy. You know, I made operations in a big hotel chain, and a lot of people weren't doing that 20, 25 years ago as far as a female. I'm not saying there weren't females, but there wasn't a lot. So
Right.
For me, I felt really honored to be moving up that ladder, and people were like, why are you giving this away? Why are you doing it? And I talk about this on my podcast. I just said, you know, for me, it's like, I aim big, but I really don't want a helicopter pad. I really don't. Like, I'm a very simple person. If that happens, I'm going to share it. You know, I know how I am. So it's, how much do you need? What are you willing to do for it? How far are you willing to go? And that's when I love Gabby talking about just the different levels and different facets of finding yourself as you're going for your gut instinct of making change. So yeah, there was a lot of people that were they were surprised when I entered the fitness industry, Heather. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? It's wellness. It's mind, body, and soul. Little did they know, I'm getting closer. I'm getting closer. And what I did, which is some of what you guys did, was I'm making money doing it. I'm making money loving it. I love the wellness industry. I'm all about get that sugar out of your life and no salt, gut health. I love it, you know, because just like what Heather said, it drags you down. Like, there's so many little things that is holding you back from your goals. And sometimes you're like, holy cow, it's my gut health. Who the hell knew that eliminating that gives you such an it's not about just being healthy. It gives you such an ease and clear-minded so that you can get through your brain injuries and and get through your health issues. And just like, I think maybe lupus, you have to find this information. Rosie said, you have to be your advocate. You have to do it because nobody's going to save you. Nobody, but people will help you. People will help you.
Well, people give you advice all day long, right? That's what we're here, right? Yep.
And I think that's good too. When you were talking about good health, you also have to have good mental health. So there's going to be people in your life that are negative, right? Debbie Downers all the time. And so you kind of have to say, I love you, but I really need to be around positive people right now. And you really have to go seek them out sometimes.
Oh, yes. Yes. And it seems like the negative ones seem to be around a lot more, like you can find them a lot more quickly, can't you? Or the naysayers.
That's why they call them pity parties, right?
Yep. Absolutely.
Wendy, one of the things that I found is that, and I've learned this, I can pick it up really quickly now, but I realized that Fear's favorite outfit is love. And so it amazes me how most things that people say that they do out of love, and they truly do believe they're loving you, it is really their fear. And that's when all the shoulds start coming in. Well, I'm only telling you this because I love you.
Yes.
You start hearing that, just replace it. I'm only telling you this because I'm scared as hell. Not you're scared, they're scared. And that's the thing that pulls you in, because you think, okay, well, they really do mean well.
Right.
They do mean well, but well just won't do for you all the time. And so for me, like all of you have said, it was oftentimes those people that were really close in the circle that really meant well, but it was fear. They were really afraid. And I tell you, it made me think about Wendy and I talked about like faith, and I have a different belief about faith, religion, and all the other things. But I think about everybody knows the story of Job. I don't care what faith you're in. Everybody knows the story of Job and how his friends, they get a bad rap, and I think something terrible happened to them, but I think they really meant well to begin with. They didn't want to keep suffering, and so they're offering all these suggestions, and even his wife. So I think it's kind of like that same thing. It's other people's fear that they try to use, thinking they're protecting you, but like all of you said, you have to push past it. You really do.
Gabby, can I ladder on top of that? So my husband's amazing. I mean, we have so much fun together. We have great kids.
That's huge.
We mountain bike together. We go on dates. Like we are tight. But we've gone through it all. But we are in a great place. And my husband would say to me, when I left corporate and I went from the very, very comfortable corporate salary to $0 and 0 cents. And I didn't really realize I wasn't making any money, because money just always kind of showed up before when I was in corporate, and I wasn't really, and I kind of spent down our savings really fast because I forgot that I was here, I'm working and learning, but I wasn't making any money. And my husband would say to me, and it was his fear. So I love, Gabby, what you're saying. He would say, Heather, if anybody can do it, if anybody can figure out this career change, you going from corporate to wellness, if anybody can figure it out, it's you. And then he would add on, but I don't know how you're going to figure it out. And here's the thing though. If I solely listened to him, I'd be back in corporate. I'd be back in corporate. I would be. And I wouldn't be very happy. And I'd feel that yearning and that emptiness. However, there's another quote by Henry Ford, and it says, think you can, think you can't. Either way, you're right. And so what I did is I found all these inspirational quotes. I typed them up. I printed them out. I cut them out, and I put them in every single picture frame in our house. I put them on the TV so you couldn't watch TV without removing the quote. And I said, listen, that's where you are, and I get it, and I respect it. But I believe in myself, and I'm the one that gets to say how this is going to go down. And I believe in myself, and I know where there's a will, there's a way. And I have the will. I will figure this thing out. And if I had tried to put the answer in him, I never would have gotten there, because we all have to be the own hero of our journey. This is my journey. It's not his journey. It's my journey. And so we all need to, and maybe I should say we need to be our own heroine. Heroine.
Yeah, heroine.
Yeah, but we need to be our hero and lift ourselves up, and then we can lift the world up.
Well, and if you ever need proof that anything's possible, I don't have a 17-year-old in the house, and yet we figured this live stream, StreamYard, and Instagram, and all that other crap. Right? I know. Every day I'm like, every time I get nervous or stressed, I'm like, I'm building more neural pathways. This is good. This is good. This is good. Right? Okay,
and Wendy, you know me, I'm the biggest dork, because ladies, you don't know this, but about an hour before I was panicking, Wendy, I came right on. She's like, yeah, we have another hour.
Yep, and Gabby was here early. She was like 45 minutes early too, so it is all good. And you all just are making me feel much better as well, because misery loves company. And again, we're all building these strong cognitive neural pathways, right, Theresa? Yep. Okay, so let me ask each one of you a question on, now that you can look back on it, right? You've come through the detour or the roadblock or the awful car accident. What is one adjective that you can just use to describe it that surprises you, like that you didn't expect, right? And so for me, an example is divorce. When I was going through divorce, like I knew I was tired. I knew, I had a lot of adjectives if anyone's ever gone through that. But what I didn't expect when I got through it and came through on the other side was peace. And I think for me, because I wrestled so long and so hard internally with all those, you shoulda, you can try this, you can do this, you can do this, you can save it this way, right? And so once I finally made the decision, I could breathe again. And it wasn't perfect, but I didn't expect peace to be an adjective that came out of it upon reflecting back. So tell me an adjective, and it can be one or two or three words, but something that describes the experience that that surprises you, maybe even now. Go ahead, Rosie, go for it. I love that you're raising your hand. That's so sweet. Go for it.
Well, it shows my age.
No, it's good. It's good.
I think that I went from panic mode to excitement. Because as a 50-year-old woman, sometimes when I talk with my friends who are also in their 50s, they see it as, okay, now it's downhill, and I'm like, oh no, this is our time. This is our prime. I'm excited about what comes next, And so I think that I went from panic mode where I had no control to I'm excited about what else I can do, what else I can add to it, and what kind of a life that's yet to be determined. So I think I would say excited.
Excited. Oh, see, that's great, because you probably wouldn't have said that, at the time.
What am I going to do?
Am I nuts? Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Theresa, yeah.
I'll also raise my hand. I did not expect to come through it with humor and lightheartedness. Like, really, there were so many times I felt crazy. Literally, your own sense of self is taken, not even just like the external, am I going to do this for a living? What am I going to do for a job? Who I knew myself to be, bam, gone. But what I still had, lightheartedness. And I am so
when you told your story
that.
about how like you were still like out of body, the shower was really hot, and you're like, wow, my arm is like turning red, and you couldn't even feel it. I mean, I can't even imagine all that you've gone through with this. So to have any spark of humor, well, right, to have the humor to get through it is huge.
Thank you.
All right, Gabby, what about you? What's an adjective looking back that surprises you?
I would be freedom. I
Freedom.
think that's the thing. I had, we keep using the word detour. So Wendy knows this. I detoured to Texas, where I currently live, on my way to California. And I've been here 20 years, more than 21 years, 21 years. So talk about detour. But I would say it's just freedom. I thought I was I call myself stacking a deck early so that I would walk into this freedom. And the wind blew, the cards went everywhere, no deck, no cards. And I ended up with freedom. So yeah, that's mine.
Very good. Okay, Lupe, what about you? What's your adjective?
Blessed.
Okay.
So for me, this is what one would say my second passion project that I've been fortunate enough to be a part of. And what's interesting is that curiosity led me to both of my passion projects. It wasn't like I one day woke up and said, I want to do this, and this is where I'm going to go. And so I really felt blessed, like divine intervention really stepped in and helped me see the gifts and recognize the opportunity, and then be able to have amazing partner like Barb on my side to be able to enjoy this journey with ups and downs.
Yeah.
But just sincerely blessed and grateful for everything.
Yeah. I think blessed is a theme you hear as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Heather?
So life, I've always been a glass half full, like a happy person. But life felt heavy. So physically heavy, you know, when I gained weight in my late teens and I didn't understand why. And then I have autoimmune conditions and what's going on. So life felt heavy, just didn't love my corporate job. And then when I found that courage to say, I don't care if all we have, if we're just living out of our camper, it's okay. And my life, I mean, we're not living out of our camper. Life, like things have worked out wonderfully well. But life feels really light to me. And I just, you know, as human beings, we're so attracted to the complicated, to the chaos, to the clutter. And I have decided to always, you know, as long as I can, I'm conscious, try to take the path of simplicity, because that's where you'll find the lightness. If something feels wrong, like listen to your intuition, listen to your gut, go light, and always have that courage. Because if you go light, you're always going right.
Yeah. And you'll get your Jomo.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
All right. Cindy, what about you? What's your adjective?
You know, I don't know if it's an adjective. I don't know. But I think about the word a continuous journey. Like I describe the whole thing is continuous. And you can take that positive and you could take that negative, but at the end of the day, when you decide to like take that leap of faith and create your own business and build your own brand, and I've been watching Lupe and I've been watching Theresa, and now I get to watch you wonderful men and Wendy. I can see the continuous journey. Lupe's been on this for 3 years, and she's just been moving and grooving, and it's a pleasure to watch. So depending on how you view the word continuous, I think it's a joyful word. It's a joyful journey, and it's continuous. It just keeps going, and it's changing, especially with COVID. We are in a very unique opportunity because, and I say opportunity because you have to use those positive words, that we have to recreate ourselves as we're developing our brands and keeping our things moving and going. So continuous describes my journey. It's continuous. I'm making my own language. I'm just kidding.
Make up your own word. Well, and I'm along the same lines. I think of I never would have foreseen this path or this or where I'm at in my life stage as well. I loved my corporate job, and I thought that was going to be it for me. I was a healthcare gal, and that was my identity. And so I think for me, inspired actually is the word that comes to mind, not only in working with you all, but in all the amazing women that are in your circle, that you are leading. I mean, my God, the voices that you have and the amount of influence and positive energy you're bringing to so many women is just inspiring. And I feel blessed, like Guadalupe as well. So I'm really, I was excited about this group book project, but it's turned out way, way more than I could have ever imagined. So I want to thank you all as well. And I'm really excited also that it's not the end of something, that it's really the beginning or continuing, because I didn't get to work with Rosie and Gabby before. And I had just worked a little bit with Heather, who gave me wonderful advice, and Theresa. And so I've been able to work with you all a little bit, but it's been really exciting. And I look forward as we go forward and keep sharing this book and working with you all longer. So I hope everybody has a chance. Yep, go get the book. We've got it on Amazon, but we've also got it on everybody's website. Yep. And it's, so if you don't know, you go to DestinationU Wendy, because if you click on everybody's picture, it's going to take you to their website, because you may need resources to figure out your next career path with Lupe and Barbara. You may want to hear more about, oh my God, Cindy's voice on her podcast, Guests in Her Life. I can't even come anywhere near. It's like this cool, sultry jazz thing. It's so cool to listen to. You're going to get amazing resources from Heather and start questioning everything that you're eating in a really good way and figure out how you're going to feel much better. You're going to look to Gabbe, Miss Gabbe's wisdom, and go, oh my gosh, I can see myself driving my own car now. You're going to learn from Rosie on how to diversify and really take charge of your career path. And then Theresa, you're going to get all sorts of light, energy, humor, and again, taking back your power. So, and I'm sorry, Shannon and Kimberly couldn't be with us and Barbara couldn't, but thank you all so much for being a part of this and for continuing again to share on this journey.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks everybody.
Thank
we'll
you,
end the
Wendy.
broadcast. Thanks
Have a great
everyone.
night, you guys. Take care.